Hey, this is Josh. Today we're going to be doing a couple problems that have to do with the coordinate plane. All right, I just wanted to go through the basics of what this thing is, how we can apply it to a couple different things, and wrap this one up, okay? You know what? Let's take a step back. Before you were working with this, you probably worked with the number line, okay? And the number line is handy. You can use it for all types of graphing, solving of problems. You learn how to count all your integers and whatnot. And then at a certain point, you are taught that there's more to this, okay? The fact that this is on a two-dimensional space here means that it's a plane, or it means it's a flat thing, okay? And in order to figure out these points all over this thing, okay, we need coordinates. And so that's where the name kind of comes from, okay? It's a coordinate plane. It's a plane. It's a two-dimensional thing, like a sheet of paper or a wall. And then we're going to find coordinates on it. So if this is the x-axis, okay, probably up till now you just thought of it as like the number line. We can call this the x-axis. And I'm sorry, mine is kind of wonky there, but it works, okay? And we know that on the x-axis, we have going from 0, we know we have positive numbers going this way, negative numbers going this way, okay? So if we go this way, we got negative numbers like -1, -2, -3. And on this side, we have our positives, okay? I always recommend write these two things down because I think that it's good stuff to have. And as this gets more complicated, it can be helpful just to remember what you're doing. So we have the x-axis here, and in order to make it a two-dimensional space or we can get up into these other areas here, we need to add this guy. Hey, that was actually reasonably straight, okay? Sorry, it's hard from the side. The reason there's arrows is just telling you that it's going to go on infinitesimally in every direction, okay? And you're going to have the same, I'll stick to the black here. You're going to have the same numbers going up and down as well, okay? So let me first label this thing. This is the y-axis, right? We had the x-axis or number line. Now we're adding the y-axis. And I always have students say, well, is there a z-axis? Of course there is. But now we're dealing with three-dimensional space. So if we took these markers and kind of like stuck them right there, kind of sticking outward towards this, if we wanted to find something that was kind of like floating up here, we'd have to go over a certain amount, up a certain amount on the x and y, and then outwards a little bit as well to kind of find like something floating in three-dimensional space. So that's why we would need a z-axis. Pretty cool stuff, but we're not going to do that today. So we have the x-axis and the y-axis, okay? The numbers, we're going up again, positive, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then going down would be negative. -1, -2, -3, -4. And so from here, now we've cut this thing into 4 parts, okay? And once we've cut it into these parts, we can now label these areas. This guy over here is known as the first quadrant. Quad 4, right? Quadrunner, all that kind of stuff, if that helps you remember what it is. This is the first quadrant, and then you go counterclockwise when you count the quadrants. So we have, this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, we have the third quadrant, and then we have the fourth quadrant down there. And mainly we just learn that because it's a way of kind of labeling where things are located. So your teacher, your book might say, hey, where is ordered pair so-and-so? What quadrant is it in? And so they'll give you a point like, let's say here, at -3 up 1, okay? We always label them, we go x first, then y. So this is my x value, -3, and my y value was up 1, okay? And so they'll give you these points or ordered pairs and say, what quadrant are they in, okay? And it isn't uncommon for you to also see these, not written with these types of numbers, but actually written more properly as 1, 2, 3, and 4. A lot of times you'll see it like that as well. Okay? And getting back to how I figured out this point, the way we use this thing, I guess I should use its technical term now, the coordinate plane is, and let me erase all this, is we can find points located on this thing. And the reason they're called ordered pairs is because they're always in the same order. It's always that and then that. And there's parentheses around it. If there's no parentheses, now we're talking about answers, all kinds of other stuff. So it's important that you put the parentheses around the ordered pairs because that's going to tell the reader, hey, this is kind of like, this is what I'm working on, and this is my answer. Good habits. Let's see here. So in order to plot a point, we always use our x first and then our y. So if I wanted to plot ordered pair 3, 2, I would go over 3 on the x-axis. Now before I even do that, I can look and say, oh, it's a positive 3 and a positive 2. So I'm going to go positive 3, 1, 2, 3, and then up. Remember, this is my x, this is my y, and then I'm going to go up positive 2 to get to that point. Okay, let me do one more. Let's see here. Let's do -2, -4. Okay, notice I have parentheses around it, a comma in between them, which is telling me that it's an ordered pair, x and y. And if it helps you to label as you're doing ordered pairs to write x and y to remind you, I say go for it. I'm going to go back 2, right, because I start with my x-axis, negative, I go back 1, 2, and then I go down 4. So from here I go down 1, 2, 3, and 4, and my point ends up right there. Some teachers will want you to rewrite it, -2, -4, next to the point, just to show that you know where these points are. And then maybe they'll say, well, what quadrant is it in? This is in the first quadrant. This point over here is in the first, second, third quadrant. Okay? So I hope this helps you with the basics of the coordinate plane. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and I'll be seeing you around.